Good evening, everybody. How are you all today? I'm a little tired after this weekend, but man, I am feeling good. I had so much fun. I hope you did too. If you were there, and I hope you enjoyed watching it on the stream. There was a lot going on. I got a long list of notes. As soon as I get my notes to refresh. And let's try this here. It's all in the chat right now while I'm waiting for that to load. Hey, Steve, how are you? You like my artwork? There's what's going on here? There we go. Previous 7 days. What? Sort by date edited. There we go. Uh-oh. Why aren't my notes coming up? Well, this is terrible. They're all on my phone. Why aren't they showing up on my laptop? I guess I'm going to have to do all this from memory. As many of you know, I went to the NATS, the National Sports Collectors Convention, on Wednesday and Thursday, hunting for a Bo Jackson. I did not find one. I did not find one graded and a grade high enough for me. The only one I found was a 7. I believe it was a Beckett 7, not even a PSA. And of course, I did not want that. I did find one box of Overpower while I was there, the original series. He offered it to me for $160, and I politely declined. Whoa, look at that. The chat is blowing up now. Hey, John, how are you? Yep, we made it home all day. Hey, Geek, how you doing, my friend? Nor's there. Charlie. Andrew. John says, wing it. What could possibly go wrong? You're right. Nothing could go wrong. I just might forget one or two important items, which I'm sure you guys will remind me. War Moose, how you doing? John. Yeah, congratulations to Jessica. So proud of her. And so proud of Corey. He made the top 8 also. Nor had a rough weekend. Still proud of him. Very proud of him too. Dex Spector, here we go. Oh, Geek, pencil and paper notes never do this. You're right. That is true. I had a long list of things to discuss today. Maybe Nora will send me a message and tell me what I'm doing wrong, why it's not showing up on my laptop. Andrew, thank you for that. So very proud of Jessica. I'm going to start there. This wasn't even on the list of things to do. They were streaming the game on monitors inside the store, and the games were being played in a small, almost soundproof room, but they didn't have the door closed. And we were sitting right outside watching it, and there was probably 8 or 10 of us watching it on that screen, and then on the other side of the store, there's another 8 or 10 people watching it. And there was a probably 20-second time delay from the live version to what we were seeing. And we would hear Jessica giggle. And we were trying to guess what she was giggling about. Because we could see a lot of the things here. And there was one time Justin had the Grim Reaper, and we heard her giggle. And everyone said, oh no, she just defended the Grim Reaper. It was so much fun. But I don't know that she even slept afterwards. She was up for a very long time. Chris Rice says, Ohio is full of crazy good players. Thank you, Chris. You got the crazy part right. We had a whole lot of fun. If you watched the streaming, Friday night, I opened up the stream. My first stream of the weekend, my only stream of the weekend, but the first stream of the weekend was when I opened up the package that had this beautiful original art for the Soul Sword. I have been after that thing for 30 years. I remember back in the 90s, Drew Tab outbid me on it on eBay. And I recently reached out to him and asked him if he still had it. And he said no, that he sold it, I believe it was back in 2019. And he said, but I remember who I sold it to. And so he hooked me up, and we were able to get it. And I am thrilled. That is the piece of the original Overpower art that I was wanting. If I could get a Deathlock piece, that would be great. But it doesn't mean as much to me as the Soul Sword does. It is my absolute favorite card in the game, especially coming out of the battle site. And it was instrumental yesterday in a couple of my events. It was a big kill shot a couple of times. And you can hold that activator to the very end of the hand. You got an avoid one attack, or you got a 2 that becomes a 10. So that's why it's always been my favorite card. It was one of Phil's favorite too. And I am thrilled to own this. And a big shout out to Dan who sold it to me. You made me so happy. Thank you so much. This other one is Lancelot, the character card art that Jessica and Nor purchased for me. So thank you so much, guys. I love it. It's beautiful too. And they surprised me with that. I didn't know it was coming. They said it took a long time to get here. They originally bought it for my birthday, which was back in June. And they just got it this past weekend. I think Felipe might have brought it up with him. Felipe or maybe Diego. So it's very nice. I'm going to be showing these off a lot. Chris says he just posted a few nice pieces. Yes, he did. I saw that he sold 2 more, the Trick Transport and something else. So I don't know what all Drew has in his art collection left. I know he used to have a very, very big one back in the day. John says that's a very gorgeous piece of original art. I'm glad you tracked it down. Thanks, John. I am too. I never thought I'd have a chance. Once it went into Drew's collection, I assumed it'd be there forever. So I am excited to finally own it. And he says, congrats, Jessica. Killer play. Man, she was just ruthless. It was just amazing. So much fun. Chris says, I got hit with it for the first time this weekend. Yep, it's devastating, ain't it? Especially if you don't see it coming. Shadowcat is such a good character that you can't play her on the front line. She has too many good specials. You want to play them all. But you put her in a battle site, you can run 3 or 4 of her cards. And makes her really fun to play. One thing I want to say, I'm going to start this a little bit of humor now that we're transitioning out of the artwork, because the art was probably the number one thing on my list. And some of you guys are going to find this humorous. Some of you are going to totally understand. But guys, when you show up to these events, remember that hygiene is very important. Please shower, deodorant, breath mints. I'll just say it was kind of bad at times, and then we'll leave it at that, and we'll move on to the next thing on the list that I can't find, okay? Please, going forward, guys, let's try and get that under control. Game Master, how you doing, buddy? You got this one live? Welcome. Andy says, I was busy running demos all day, but I can't wait to settle in soon and watch Jessica's games. Yep. Did you have fun demoing, Andy? Did you demo the whole weekend? Or was you just doing it on Saturday? And how did that go? Andy says, I guess the other games are all right too. Yeah. You want to watch a really fun one? Go watch mine against Justin. First 2 hands were amazing. Then after that, it kind of went downhill quick. Tech Spectre, that's a little too much information. I'm not even going to read that one online. Demos went fantastic, says John. The Game Master says, is the stream chopping for other people? Uh-oh. I don't see a problem here on my end. I'm not getting a notice from YouTube or anything. Let me see. Stream health says we're good. No chop here, says the War Moose. Good. Okay. John says, as the manager of a retail shop with basement gameplay area, I second Doug's high dream plea. Thank you, John. It was so bad. Sometimes people would lean in because they want to just whisper something to you, and you instantly lean away. But okay. John says the stream's fine with him. And my game against Justin was a lot of fun for the first couple of hands, and it was a good game all the way through. Andy says, I ran demos Saturday and Sunday. It was great. Loved showing off the game and got a ton of excitement from folks. Really cool to see people getting their teeth into the game in real time. I heard that there was quite a bit of excitement for Invincible, and that's great. I know there was a whole lot of excitement for it Friday night when guys were drafting. They just wanted to keep running draft after draft after draft. I don't know how many boxes were there. I was originally told that there would be 6, but it sure looked like they had more than that, and they ran a lot of drafts. So guys would get in one, play a hand, draft, play one round, and then drop and go try and start another one. And they were running drafts pretty much all night. They went pretty late. I think around 10 o'clock the store finally closed and everyone had to leave. But it was great to see so much excitement for Skybound. And Jessica, she won 3 boxes? And Corey got 1, I think. And all 4 of them were opened in the hotel room Saturday night. I know Jessica's were. Was Corey's opened? I can't remember. But I know they opened at least 3 boxes. Not me. I went to sleep. I was tired. It was a long day. I went from the Nationals in Chicago on Thursday to driving up to Canada on Friday. And by the time Saturday night got there, I was pretty tired. Although that did not influence my gameplay at all, I don't think. Although my game against Justin, I probably would have caught my mistakes if it had been earlier in the day. And I'll get into those here in just a minute. But he made 2 plays that were misplayed, and I didn't catch them. And it cost me the game. I literally should have won that game. I had so much fun playing everybody all weekend long that as soon as my game with Justin ended, Corey comes up and he says, look at this. This is what you did wrong. And it's like, holy crap, I should have won that game in the second hand. So if you're wondering what happened, allow me to explain. I had the first hand, I ventured 2 missions and I won. He conceded. And the second hand, I drew my cards and I looked down and I saw Fairy Protection and Poseidon's avoid 1 attack, may not be attacked, remove the attack from the game, may not be attacked for the remainder of battle. And I'm going to look real quick and see what the name of that card is because it's escaping me right at the moment. It is in the deck because it is an avoid. A lot of times people don't go after him, but I knew I could push Justin into attacking Poseidon by letting Morgan die. Fairy Protection on the Witch, and then lock out Poseidon. Form of water. Avoid 1 attack. Poseidon may not be attacked for remainder of battle. Remove the attack from the game. So I got a little anxious. I looked at that hand, and since I was going first, I just reached over and I turned my mission sideways and I said, I'll go 5. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not going to place anything. Are you going to place anything? And Justin thought I was messing with him. And he goes, are you just messing with me? Or are you really going to go 5? And I said, do you want to place anything? And he said, I don't know now. I said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'll tell you as soon as you finish placing. So I ended up venturing 5. And I loved hearing the replay on it because when Joe was commentating on it, he thought I was just messing with Justin too. but I ventured 5. And like I said, my goal was to take a couple hits on Morgan and let her die, take a hit or 2 onto the witch and then lock her out, and then he'd have to attack Poseidon and I'd lock him out. So he drew the 3 cards. He kept all 3 of them. And it he's thinking I have no chance. I'm thinking I can't miss. Once I got both the Morgan dead, the 2 lockouts, I just looked at it. He's just sitting there thinking about what he's going to do. And I looked at him and I said, there's nothing you can do unless you have a negate to go negate one of the lockouts. And I said, if you don't, it's over. And he goes, I do have it. And he had Merlin's magic. And I said, which one do you want to negate? And he said, Fairy Protection. So I got rid of Fairy Protection. And I did have Carson of Venus in reserve. And I had his card out in play that I could shift any attack to that card to defend the attack. I knew how many points of venture I had. And at that point, I was up, I believe it was 6 points of venture. So all I had to do was take up to 5 points of venture and then shift the final attack onto the Carson of Venus card, and I win. And the card that I used the form of water on was Joan of Arc's 8 multi. And said avoid 1 attack, remove the attack, may not be attacked for the remainder of the game. And then, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back before that. Before I locked out the witch, right off the bat, Justin played the 4 strength assist. May make 1 additional attack. His additional attack was Morgan's card to make the opponent discard 1 card, which I ended up negating. And I should have just reminded him that he couldn't follow up an assist with that card. And then I could have made that card totally unplayable. I could have saved the negate for, I believe it was the Joan 4 that ended up knocking, that I think I took to knock out Morgan. But I could have negated that and then let the next attack knock out Morgan and then continue to knock him out. I would have made 1 of his cards unplayable. And needless to say, the shorter version of this is, if I would have not allowed him to play Duplexity and not allowed him to go back and get Joan's 8 with Gemini, which he did, technically a card that was supposed to be out of the game, there was nothing else there for him to go get. The only thing else was the Wicked Witch 8 multi, and she'd already been KO'd. So his Gemini would have been worthless. And I would have won. Although maybe Joan's 4 could have been in there, but it wouldn't have been enough to win him the venture either. So I was pretty upset at myself for missing that. Andy says, you can't be telling your opponent how to win. This is true, but I mean, I didn't tell him how to win. I still should have won. The only play he had was to negate one of the lockouts. He couldn't attack anything. So let me scroll back up here. Let's see. Andrew says getting deja vu over here. Yeah. That's Andy says, the moment I keep thinking about the player who, when their Doc Seismic was attacked, showed me only Universe Lockout and asked, can I use this to stop an attack? And it felt great to say yes. Yeah. Game Master says, come to think of it, I don't know if we removed our attack when I played that. Yeah, it's supposed to be removed completely from the game. Interesting. Andrew says, Raz, I did remove it. It wasn't a power card, and my Gemini was gone, so it didn't really matter in our game. Okay. Game Master says, I think most games neither of us remember to remove it. Andrew says, could have saved the negate for his offensive negate to protect your fairy too. No, That is true, but Morgan was going to be dead at that point. That was the only way I could get him to attack the Wicked Witch and then onto Poseidon, was to let Morgan die. So I couldn't really save the negate for that long. I had to use it and then let her die. But as it turned out, I would have won the venture if I would have just caught those two little things. And I would have won in two hands, and I would have made the top 8. So close and yet so far. Probably not the greatest venture of 5 that I ever made, considering it was a playing game. And since I won 2 missions the first hand, I could have gone 3 this one and gone up 5-0 after 2 hands and probably eventually won the game without letting Morgan die. But you know, I got this problem. I like venturing 4, 5, or 6, especially 5 or 6. And I did it. I just went for it. As soon as Joe was doing the commentary, as soon as my game was over, he sent me a text and he said, "Doug, I love your deck," and I would have gone for it too. So that made me feel a little bit better. Poseidon was milling people left and right all day. He was so fun to play. Technically, I finished at 5-3. Could have easily been 6-2. The other 2 losses were close games, but my game against Derek was probably the most fun I had playing the deck, because Derek would laugh when I would mill him. It's like he couldn't stop him anytime. He didn't have the negate, so he would just laugh and mill. I milled him for 5, I milled him for 7. I think I Gemini'd, milled him for another 7. And at one point, I think I threw a 6 on his character that he couldn't defend. He had to mill 3 more. At the end of the game, he was in his power pack the last time I milled him. Just about into his power pack. He was in his power pack. And then he had 2 cards left in it, but he was starting a discard pile. So he had to combine them both. I milled him for 7, and he only had 6 cards there. And he had 2 in his hand. So he ended up with only 2 cards in his power pack for the last hand. But it was so fun because he laughed. He was having fun doing it. He was way past the point of knowing that he couldn't win the game. And he just let me have some fun. And Derek, thank you so much for that. I played Derek 3 times over the weekend. I beat him in the regular rounds both times in the Swiss. But then yesterday in the play-in game for the top 8, he beat me. So I finished 6 in the standings at the end of the round at 5-2. But they had 9 5-2s, so they brought in 3 more 4-3s and made 5 through 8 play against 9 through 12 to play in, and Derek beat me. Our game went really, really fast. I was playing Beyonder White Queen, and he was playing Bullseye, Nightcrawler, Electra, Sabretooth in reserve. And it came down to his Sabretooth against my Beyonder. And he won the game because of he made me -1 to venture with Omniverse. It was fun. We played so fast. But I guess you guys know that, right? Let's see. Andy said, "Who am I to criticize a bet 5, though?" You know what? I agree. It's always fun to bet 5. Could have won it all with 6-2, asked the Game Master. Absolutely. I probably should have played it for the long run, but what a great story to tell now, right? How boring would it have been if I'd have said, well, I went 2-3-2 and I beat Justin and went 6-2. There's no story there, right? Okay. Andy says, same story as me at the OP Cup. 6 after Swiss, then lost in a few hands. Missed the top 8. Yeah, just barely, though. Just barely missed it. I had another really fun game on Sunday against Greg Costa. And I had seen him play in his deck. He had Mr. Fantastic, Mole Man, Alpha Flight, and I believe it was Spider Woman in reserve. And he was going after battle sites. There was a lot of high venture there. Mole Man's got a 1, but it's an 11 against a battle site. The Marauders in his battle site have a 7 that's a 10 against a battle site. So he was really going after battle sites. And I saw him at the end of the day, and I said, "Great, how many battle sites did you knock out today?" And he said he got 4 battle sites. Now, that's 30 points of damage against a battle site. I knew right away what he was planning to do. And he threw the Marauder 7 out of his battle site, be a 10 on my battle site. I just took it. I was already up 1 card on him, I think. And I just figured, well, now I'm up 2 on you. I went to that first hand against him. He threw a 4 power card. I took it on the battle site. Then he threw a 5, and it's like, okay, they're getting a little too high. I'm easily going to win the venture. I'm going to defend that 5, and I did. Then he had to concede before he lost Alpha Flight. And my thinking on the Alpha Flight was Mr. Fantastic's got a teammate avoid, Alpha Flight's got a teammate avoid, but Mr. Fantastic's only 9 or less. Alpha Flight's a full avoid, so I'm going to go after Alpha Flight. And I got Magneto's 11 that can get over the 9 or less, so I'm not too concerned about that. Second hand, I drew my event. No cards with the word teammate on it. He had an ally that was placed, and I think he had a teammate avoid in reserve. So he placed out on me. I didn't play. I placed 1 or 2 cards, and then he placed out, had 1 card in his hand. And I looked at what he had, and he had 0 venture over there. He had the Mole Man 1. He had a level 2 power card. He had the 3 ally that he couldn't even play. So I just looked over at him and said, "I'll bet 5. And he goes, "What?" I said, "Yep, 5. And he goes, What are you doing?" And I said, "It's 5 for the win." And then he sat there for a minute, and he goes, "Yeah, I see. Now I can't attack your battle site." I said, "Nope, you need those venture points." And unfortunately, he had virtually no venture there. The Mole Man was a 1, and he threw it against Beyonder, and I just took it. Then his next attack was a level 2 power card against Beyonder, which I just took it. And then his next attack went on Beyonder, and I played Acrobatics, and he couldn't attack me anymore because he couldn't play cards with the word teammate on it. And I ended up winning that venture pretty easy. So that was a nice bet 5 that I really enjoyed. I think Greg did too, in a way. And I'm really glad that he went on to knock out a couple more battle sites after that. And this is my last story for tomorrow, or from over the weekend, as far as my gameplay. I played Robin. Robin, are you in the chat today? Robin was playing Thing, Juggernaut, Beast the Brute, and Cthulhu in reserve. And you look at that team, and it's like, okay, Beast the Brute's got to be the one that you go after, right? You got to get rid of the negate because there's 3 8s no matter what you do. He drew Call of Cthulhu in the second hand, placed it on Cthulhu, and played it that hand. And he had the White Queen painted up pretty good. She had like 13 points of venture on her. Might have been 12. I had 13 points on his Beast the Brute. So what did I do? My favorite thing in the world to do. I played a Power Mimic when I knew he didn't have a negate. And I Power Mimicked his Call of Cthulhu. Of course, it was hilarious. He enjoyed it. He laughed a lot too. And we had fun the rest of the game. A couple hands later, he put out Thing's Stonewall against my Beyonder, which I took. And then he played a Pretty Boy, I believe it was. He locked out one of his characters. And after he played that, I played Little Iceman's KL. I got rid of his Call of Cthulhu, the Stonewall, and his lockout with the Little Iceman. It was so funny. It's like, he didn't think it was funny at the time, but we did laugh about it after the game. So I'm sure Robin is not going to be mad at me for saying that. But it's like, okay, I'm going to play Little Iceman. That's going to get rid of Cthulhu, Stonewall. It's going to get rid of that lockout. And you could hear the disappointment in his voice when he said, oh, okay. But it was funny to me. And then I proceeded over the next few hands to knock out all 4 of his characters by getting them over 15 points. He couldn't get rid of. He said he had a KL in his battle site, but he just never thought to play it to take out the Call of Cthulhu until after the game was over. It's like, oh, I had a KL in the battle site. Why didn't I play it? So he lost all 4 of his characters because of his own Call of Cthulhu going into play, and then I power mimicked it. That was a lot of fun too. Not quite as fun as my game against Derek when I would mill him and he would laugh. So those were my 2 funnest games all weekend, I think. I loved it. Poseidon is a lot of fun to play. I don't know why I didn't put him with the Wicked Witch earlier in this last year and play him then. I'd always tampered with him, always trying to get him to play with Hercules, which wasn't enough. So I think he's found a home with the Wicked Witch. John says, Doug, I think you bet more than 4 more than anyone else I know. I do. I probably do. Except maybe Nor. I've been a bad influence on Nor about that too, right? Chris says, Robin almost got me in the second chance. I thought it was funny when you power mimicked it. I was playing next to y'all and it distracted me because I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought so too. It was a lot of fun. Hey, Diego, you're finally here. How are you? Always watching live from the airport after tournaments. Thank you, my friend. It is so good of you to do that. I appreciate it. Andy says, Power Mimic Call of Cthulhu is an iconic part of the current era. Yeah, love that you found so much success with Poseidon. Yeah, he was fun. The goal was not to lose Poseidon. And one of my 2 losses, and I can't remember right now who beat me, but they went after Poseidon early. And I did not get off either one of my mill cards. And Poseidon was taken out. Not early in the game, probably around hand 5. But the mills in that hand were down at the bottom, and I didn't get to play them. So, when you look at the deck, I call it, when everyone asks me what I'm playing Poseidon. And Corey said Poseidon is the least imposing figure on the team, but he's the one that you really got to go after. A lot of people want to go after the Witch anyways, but I found that if I don't have that lockout for Poseidon placed on him, that's probably the place to go. All right. Nor has not sent me any messages on how to update my notes. So I'm going to try it one more time and see if what happens here. No, why doesn't it automatically update? I don't understand Apple sometimes. Sorry, guys. There is so much it's not updating. Wow. I have a lot of notes that start with the word Monday. Okay, let's go back. I wish I had that on here. I got the 2 most important. Holy cow. Oh, yeah, there's no way this is updated, because I've totally deleted that note. Oh well. If anyone knows how to get my notes to update, oh, there's settings. Is it in my settings? What else did we have? We had a great ride home. We took Yusuf home, dropped him off first, and Corey and I got home about 4:30 in the morning. That was fun. Hey Lawrence, how are you? Thanks for joining us. We stayed way too late with that second chance tournament because Yusuf was playing in the championship game. We took 2 cars to Canada. Jessica and Nora had already left. I don't know what time they got home, but Corey and I got home around 4:30. And it was a short night. I didn't get up until like 10 this morning and ended up coming into work around 12 or, no, it was 1 o'clock. No, it was 2 o'clock before I got here. Joe, how are you? Isn't that amazing? I love it. So if anyone else had a lifelong desire to get and own the Soul Sword, I'm going to crush your dreams right now because the Soul Sword will never be sold. And it will be passed down to one of my kids. So I chased that for a very long time, and I will not let that one go. I think, what do I got at home too? I got a Magneto character, IQ, and the White Queen IQ characters, I think. I don't think I'll ever part with either of those either, but they would go before the Soul Sword will, that's for sure. Well, hey Joe, do you know how to get this stupid Apple computer to update on my notes? It's showing I have 200. Wow. Normally I check my notes and make sure they're here before the show starts, and I forgot. I don't know why it's not here. Yeah, this is crazy. John says you need to track down Power Mimic. Power Mimic? What was the artist who did that? Everyone was buying his art about 2 years ago. He had it, but it had already sold. It was still on his list, but it was marked as sold. So I have no idea who bought that one. I would love to have the Power Mimic now that you mention it. That would be my second most wanted artwork. Man, I ought to reach out to Drew and see if maybe he owns it. Chris Rice says, we need to all pitch in and get you the Burger King Arthur. That would be hilarious. Thank you. Joe says, whoever has the IQ Captain America art has the real gem of overpower. That is an amazing piece. I will not argue with that. This, to me, the Soul Sword is just all about the gameplay. I love the card. I've always had it in the battle side ever since I played AOA, and that's why it was so high on my list. The Captain America may very well be the best art in the set. Game Master says, did you see the last episode of X-Men 99? I did not. Diego says, beautiful. John says, private detective agency? Yeah. I suppose I could get a hold of the artist and ask him if he knew who he sold it to. But right now I can't remember his name. We were messaging back and forth. I never did buy anything. I think Carl ended up buying the Mr. Sinister 9 multi, half multi, off of him, and that was the one that I kind of wanted at the time, and I didn't move fast enough. Wait a minute. Wow. I just don't understand why this won't update my notes. Oh, the Soul Sword was in the episode. All right. I might have to go watch that one. I started watching, I think I only watched the first episode and then just never went back to it. Now we do have pre-releases coming up. Does everybody know the dates of their pre-releases? I know the one in Seattle had a date. I don't remember off the top of my head. We're August 15th. Stefan is the 16th. Don't know when Robbins is, but I'm pretty sure he has set a date. We're going to do a double header here in Ohio. Columbus is going to have two of them. We're going to play on Saturday, and then we all plan to go over to Stefan's on Sunday. Hopefully all his crew will come over here on Saturday. Just have one great big party with Invincible. I know it's Skybound, but I really don't care about the Walking Dead characters, right? August 23rd. Thank you, Travis. I wondered where you were. You were just lurking tonight, huh? August 23rd. So that's 5 days before the release of the product. That's a good... Yep, Gamer's Edge. That's it. I was drawing a blank there for a minute. I think mostly because I'm trying to figure out why these notes won't refresh. They're the same account. It should be there. Let me see here. Well, crap. We're doing pretty good anyways. We're 40 minutes in. I got to 3 of the things on my my list. Travis says, yep, watching while doing other things. Well, thank you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Pandemonium, there we go. August 22nd. Right. Glad you guys got that one worked out. I'm glad they're... right now, all the naysayers who thought that they wouldn't have the product for Peace Bridge, let alone for San Diego Comic-Con, they proved you wrong this time, didn't they? Now if we could just get a release date for The Few and Cursed. Which, by the way, where's Felipe? Why aren't you in the chat, Felipe? I'm really kind of excited about The Few and Cursed. I want to use those decks as learn to play decks. I hope that'll work. But I think we're looking at October, November on those right now, which is kind of depressing. Chris, yep, that's it, Chris. It was Warren Motrick that did the Power Mimic. Yep. And even says they took care of us at Gen Con too. Yep, there was a lot of product at Gen Con, right? I saw a couple pictures. So that was good. And people were enjoying the demos. And the demo, I got one of the Gen Con demos. Ray Tan was nice enough to bring me back one. I forget. I don't even know where it's at. I got it sitting around here somewhere. He got me the Invincible Gen Con demo. So that was kind of cool. I don't think even Jessica has one of those. I got to hold that over her head. Travis says, at this point, I'm hoping for TFAC before Philly. And Andy says, cannot wait to see what Few and Cursed has in store. My wheels are already spinning, though, with Skybound. There's a lot to digest in that Skybound set, right? I'm curious to see if it overpowers ERB completely. There are so many good characters there that people want to use. And he says, Ray was there? Yes, Ray and his brother were there. Chris says, I have a full set of autographs of all his art. I got 3 of his Morbius art. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, he was selling it. And I reached out and was talking to him. And I happened to mention on the stream that he had the art available. And he got so many requests for his art in like a 2 or 3 week period that he finally just pulled it all down and said he's not selling anything else. Chris, I have been hearing Omni-Man is ridiculous. I heard that God Lord King is ridiculous. That Mikey is kind of ridiculous even at 21 points. Angston Levy, they bumped him from 20 to 21 points. And I got to tell you, he still may be under cost at 21. So we shall see. I can't wait to see what guys come up with. And that's what Seattle's going to be the first one for those. John says Joan and the Witch will continue to be part of the meta. Interesting. Andy says, I definitely think most of my builds are Skybound centric, but I can't tell how much of that is getting excited over the new stuff. I have a few old characters in mind, though. Yeah. Sometimes your excitement can rule the day, right? Andy says, Angstrom looks like a beast. Chris says, the draft was very interesting. Well, the drafts are different, though, because there's no point limit. That's kind of interesting. And Andy can't wait to play Angstrom. Yeah. I want to look at him. I enjoyed him in play testing. But I think they took him up a point and changed one or two of his cards. John says the format still needs to have more 17 threat characters, and I couldn't agree more. Makes it hard to play these high-cost characters when there's no lower point characters. They definitely need to get some better characters for the low points. Make them worth playing at 16 or 17 points. I don't think Invisible Man's going to be worth it even at 16 with all the KL type cards that are going to be coming out in Top Cow. Andy says, we have 1 billion of those now. Well, not yet. Chris says, I have a couple fun ideas. No idea if they will work, but looking forward to trying. And that's the fun of it, right? Lawrence says, I had an 80-point team in draft, but Sean Ballantine still beat me with Battle Beast. Yes, Battle Beast is a monster, for sure. Andy says, I think this set introduced at least 4 17s. Joe says, tons of 17-pointers now at least. 3 even have a 7 stat. 3 in Skybound or 2 in Skybound and Billy the Kid? Travis says, I need to have the cards in hand before I can start thinking about teams. John says, Alan the Alien will show up a fair bit. I kind of liked Alan, but I looked through his stack during the draft, which they suckered me into. Just one. And I played 1 game and lost and dropped. I wasn't real happy with Alan the Alien. I didn't hate him, but I didn't love him. And Joe says 9 17s for Modern now. Travis says Alan and Anubis could be fun. I'll have to look at that one. Andy says 5 17s. I forgot about Rex. John says there might be enough team defense in Skybound to let us play Baby Mob more easily. That would be interesting, right? And Andy says 3 in Skybound have a 7. So 3 17-point characters have a 7 in Skybound. 1 is Spencer Dales, right? Or did they bump him to 18? I can't remember. It's nice to have options. Andy says, I think people are overrating Alan, but he's solid. That was my kind of first impression when I looked through the stack, Andy. He's okay. Chris says, Industrial Age Mob should be a 17. Stay away from my Baby Mob, though. Andy says, Spencer is 18 now. Yeah. He was too cheap at 17. I think he's still good at 18, though. You know what? Yeah. I can't restart my computer. Google says I need to restart my computer. Sync my iCloud. Check that iCloud sync is turned on for notes in your Mac system. All right. I'll try that. That would be nice. Let me see here. Yep, they are there. Automatically sync. Yep. All right. Well, guys, I'm sorry. I kind of messed that up. Wait a minute. Ha! You know what? And there it is. I got my notes. And the weekend notes was going good. I'm so glad that I was able to figure this out without Nor's help. Thank you very much, Nor. I got it. John, I see your question. And we're going to start our events at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the, what did I say, the 16th? I don't even know what day it is. Oh my gosh, Doug. I solve one problem and create another one. But I'm going to get our events in Top Deck tomorrow. My eBay / shipping guy called off sick today, and we had a lot of sales over the weekend off the website. Between the website and eBay, I had like 40 orders to ship out, and I didn't get all of them done. But it is on my list. If my shipper comes in tomorrow, it'll be no problem. If he doesn't, it'll be really late in the day before I get to it. But I promise you, I will do my best to get him in Top Deck tomorrow. And I don't know when Stefan plans to start his. I'm going to invite Stefan on the show next Monday. We're going to be talking about the pre-release events and everything. But I'll try to find out before that. John says, Alan's cost and a supportive special stack will make him attractive, not broken by any means, but a solid citizen for many teams. That's kind of the way I'm leaning, John. He's okay. I don't think he's over or under costed. I'll have to ask Nor though. Nor might think he's under costed. There was something about him that Nor really liked. Before I go any farther, I want to give a shout out to Mecca Games for hosting us this weekend. They were phenomenal. They stayed open late. They opened early. It was a really great facility. It was very unique. They had lots of room. We weren't crowded at all. There was actually some with some seats available for other people to come in and play. Things in Canada were incredibly cheap when you paid with US dollars. So that was fun. Mecca was glad to have us. They were actually thrilled to have us. I hope LRG left 2 or 3 booster boxes there for them so that they could put them out and try to sell them and get some people interested in the game up there. But Mecca Games was amazing. Shout out to Howard. Howard, you put on a great event. Everybody had a great time. There were no major issues. A couple little snafus where we had to repair one time, I think, because the wrong toggle was hit by somebody and the wrong player was given a win, but easily fixed with Top Deck. And they did it really quick and off we went. I think, honestly, I'm pretty sure that was the only hiccup. Let's see, Zach is working on all the decks for the events. If he doesn't have them on Facebook yet, I'd be surprised. But if he doesn't, they will be up very soon. He put mine up for me. He was just trying to annoy me, I think. He asked me if mine was up yet, and I said, well, I went to the website through the QR, and then I got distracted and I never filled it out. So he just pulled up his phone and put my deck list in there for yesterday. So I can't wait to see all the decks that were played for the weekend. I'm kind of curious where everybody finished with the regionals, what new characters were there that did well or didn't do well, but actually got played. Poseidon was close to making the top 8, and I'm just kind of curious if anyone else did that with a different character now. Travis says, next year I might have to skip Columbus so I can go to Peace Bridge. Dude, that's a serious downgrade, Travis. I mean, Peace Bridge is good, but it ain't Columbus. Come on. The prize table was amazing at Peace Bridge. So many of you guys donated so many cool things. Thank you. And Lauren says Zach already has them up. Go, Zach. Go, Zach. If anyone is wondering, Team USA did win the challenge. So they did sing the national anthem, which I know Chris Rice put a video of that up. If you hadn't seen it yet, go look at it. You can also go to the Overpower Adventures YouTube channel and see the box opening of when I opened up the Soul Sword. So excited to see it, and everyone wanted to come over and take a look at it. It was really cool. Andy says Sean did it with Van Helsing and Lancelot. Yes, he did. Lauren says he has the NAOL stuff up. Yep. Travis says, I will be at the Nationals even if I don't play. Great. We got a lot of stuff. Man, talked to James a little about the National on Saturday, and have we got a big surprise for you guys coming? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be something that we'll probably announce in December or January. But I am super stoked to do it with them. I can't wait to tell everybody about this one particular thing. We are trying to do a lot of particular things, and if it all comes together, that's going to be the can't miss weekend of the year. Whether you're playing in the Nats or side events, come and hang out with us. When we open up the tickets for the brunch, please, please, please spend the $10 to get breakfast and sit in here and eat with us and socialize, because it's going to be so worth it. We're going to give away some 5 multi-foil cards. I think we're going to have somewhere between 30 to 40 of those to just give away. Just show up. Spend $10 for breakfast and enter into a chance to win a 5-foil multi. 5 multi-foil. Well worth your time. And, just schedule your flight out a little later in the afternoon and come and hang out with us. I am hoping we can come up with a way to get a promo card for everybody who shows up. So we give out the 5 multis until they're gone, and then slide right on into a different promo, of which right now I can't tell you because it's still in negotiation about which one we will, I should say discussion about which one we're trying to use. But please, $10 for breakfast and a chance for a free Overpower promo. Andy says the real Bo Jackson at the Nats. Andy, that would make me one of the happiest guys ever. That is a great suggestion. Let me get on that. Travis says, I might reach out to LRG to see if I can come and help. Maybe work with Ronald on the technical side of things. There we go. And the Raven Project says, you'll play somehow, Travis. Yeah. Super excited. There's just so much going to happen during the Nats. The day before the Nats with the Last Chance qualifier. Then the Nats. And then the NAOL brunch. You guys, I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss it. When you hear about it the day after, you're going to be so upset that you didn't make it. Schedule it now, February 26th, 27th, and 28th, 2027. Columbus will be the place to be. All right, let's go on to the next thing on my weekend notes. 42 players for the regional. Huge. I did not expect that many. It just kept growing. That is a fantastic turnout. They had 48 players Friday night for the pre-release drafts. 48 players. It was just amazing. 38 players for Legacy. We only had 4 less players in Legacy. A couple of guys did play modern decks in the Legacy. Brandon West did. He didn't do so good with it. Somebody help me out here. Who was the other player that had a modern deck? I think he went 3 and 4. Oh, man, I can't believe I can't remember his name, but it was fun. Oh, John, go have your dinner, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm glad to stream. I'm really enjoying it. The Game Master says, stay for the brunch for international showing too. Travis says, who's copying me? What do you mean copying you there, Travis? What did I miss? Oh, you mean playing Modern and Legacy format? So 48 players for the draft, pre-release, 42 for the regional, 38 for Legacy. That's amazing. Lawrence says Ray played all Modern. That's the one. Yep, he did. And I think out of his 7 games, he did get kind of blown out in a couple of them. But in his other 2 losses, they were close. He was so close at one time. I thought he had a really good shot to make the top 8. Yeah, Travis playing Modern and in AOL. Yep, 2 of them did, Ray and Brandon. And it was fun. Andy says, not going to lie, briefly considered a Modern lineup for the new characters. I like my current deck too much, though. Yeah, I know. The Legacy characters are so fun that you got to play them when you get the chance, right? I almost switched to a Modern deck instead of the Beyonder White Queen deck, because when I took the deck out of the box, I did not have my mission set. The Crossing mission set was not there. So Tyler said, I got you. I'll dig it out. I went to Howard and I said, hey, I don't have my mission set. And I know we just got this new rule on proxying. And he said, go ahead and play the first game and Tyler will take care of you. He'll get you a set. Kind of embarrassing. But if they had said I couldn't play, I was going to do a quick update on my deck list and just make it the Poseidon deck. I don't think it would have been quite as fun in the Modern game without a battle site, but that's what I was prepared to do. Fortunately, I didn't have to. I got to get more organized when I show up for these events. That was really embarrassing. Travis says, I was helping Ray prep. That was his first Legacy tournament. Yep, Ray's a very good player. He hasn't been playing very long. He's coming along nicely. Okay, the next thing on my list, we actually already covered. Venture big. Don't be afraid to venture 5. Might not be the best thing to do all the time, but don't be afraid. I bet 5 twice, I think, over the weekend was all. And I went 1-1 by betting 5. So, 1-1, lost 1. I think that's pretty good. I do enjoy it. I know Nor enjoys it. Oh, I did. I bet 5 one other time against Lawrence and ended up having to concede. So I went 1 successful venture of 5 and 2 unsuccessfuls. And when I thought about it afterwards, betting 5 against Lawrence, I know I milled 3 more cards out of his deck to try and get him into his power pack, but it probably was not a good idea simply because it didn't, after losing it, I didn't have enough missions to really stall out and try to get regrouped. It was to the point where I only had 2 missions left to even venture with, 2 or 3, and then I lost the next hand and I only had 2, I think is what it was. But it's always a surprise when you bet 4 or 5. Your opponent didn't see it coming, I guarantee you. Hey, Chris, all right. Chris said, I ventured 5 once and I got it. You go, son. And he says, Doug, you keep telling us not to venture big. Yeah, I know. Do as I say, not as I do, Andy. Ain't that the way the saying goes? You got to know when to do it and when not to, though. You can't just do it because it looks good. You got to have some reasoning to it, which I don't normally do. Jessica gets on me about two things all the time: playing too fast and venturing too high. So, for what it's worth, maybe that note shouldn't have been there. Yes, Andy, it is a ton of fun. Travis says, do you try and mill early or try and wait for the power pack? I would definitely prefer to do it later in the game, but there are advantages to doing it early, because you could get fairy protection, you could get their Merlin's Magic, and when you see that Merlin's Magic go, you got a really good idea where their negates are. They're offensive negates unless you're playing Sherlock and what's his name, Van Helsing. Is it Van Helsing or the other guy, Count, that has a 1 per deck? So you're a little more incentivized to do the mill 7 after that. Lawrence says, Doug, it was an honor to play against your legendary Beyond White Queen deck. Thank you, Lawrence. That was a heck of a game. It was the most strategic game I played all weekend, and you came out on top. You played it brilliantly. And I won't say it was the funnest game that I played, because I really enjoyed, I don't know if you, Lawrence, if you were in here when I told how I played Derek with the Poseidon deck and was milling him. And every time I milled him, he laughed. And I got him down to just 2 cards. So Derek and I really had a lot of fun playing that game. And I really had a lot of fun playing Robin, power mimicking his Call of Cthulhu. So in the overall scheme of things, Lawrence, my game against you was my 3rd favorite game of the weekend. I loved it. It was very strategic. I tried to play a little mind games with you. It didn't work. You played extremely well when I put Little Rogue into play. I'm still not sure I agree with the ruling of opponent may not attack or defend out of the battle site, that you can play an offensive negate or a defensive negate. To me, any reaction to an offensive play is defensive. So I still think, whether it's ruled that way or not, that you would have to play the negate offensively. But it is what it is. I mean, that was the ruling. I was more than willing to play by that standard. And that was another thing. Lawrence is playing Power Mimic, and he Power Mimicked Little Rogue to make me not be able to play my activators for attack or defense. But what he didn't see coming was a Little Iceman out of the hand. Yes, that's twice I got to play Little Iceman to clear the field of my opponent's remainder of battle, remainder of game effects. And Lawrence, you looked quite shocked when I played that card. So when I got Little Rogue into play, Lawrence only had 2 activators, and he still got to play them both. It was quite frustrating, funny, and very strategic all at the same time. I was hoping, he had 4 cards in hand. I was hoping 3 of them were activators. And I went 1 making think I was going to concede, and then he went 3 and let me draw a card. Lawrence, I didn't tell you what you let me draw, but you let me draw the Dark Beast activator to get acrobatics. And then I was able to lock out the White Queen on the first play. No, it was Magneto by that point, right? I locked out Magneto with that acrobatics. And I was going first that hand. Right? Yeah. And so I put the Little Rogue into play, whichever way it went. I mean, I put acrobatics in play and then played Little Rogue. And at that point, when I drew the acrobatics, I was willing to stay in for a little while and see what would happen. And your reaction to Little Rogue kind of gave me hope that I had made 2 or 3 activators unplayable. But you played it very well, and it was a extremely fun game. We already talked briefly about the pre-release event that went on there, about the upcoming ones. We gave out everybody's dates, the Pandemonium and Gamer's Edge, Flying Monkey and Heroes and Games. I did not give out the date for the one in Seattle because honestly I don't remember when it is. I'm thinking August 18th, but I don't like giving out misinformation. So check with Zulus and see when their event is if you're out there on the West Coast. And that brings up everything on my list but one. And first I'm going to go see what Lawrence has got for me. He says, I was very surprised by that little Iceman. Oh man, I gave you the lockout. You did. You did. If I hadn't drawn that, I might have just conceded. Doug says it's August 20th. Thank you, Doug Taylor. All right. So there's no misinformation. August 20th at Zulus. Show up, have some fun, and enjoy that great store out there at Zulus. It's a great location too. And actually, this last thing on my list, I think I might just not even mention it. I'm going to cross it off the list. I kind of covered it already, but we have a great community, and I hope to make sure that it stays that way. And it was a great weekend. Everybody had so much fun. I know Diego got a little upset about losing one of his games, but it's all good. He's ended up making top 8. I don't think anybody had any issues with the venue or the way any of the events were run all weekend. Howard did fantastic. Everything went fairly smoothly. We did have a tornado warning that a few people got concerned about, but it turned out that it wasn't really that close to us. So we didn't lose any playtime or anything like that. We did have an issue with Top Deck for a little while on Sunday where it wasn't responding on the phones. We couldn't report our matches. We didn't see our matches. We weren't getting the push notifications. I don't think that lasted more than 1 or 2 rounds, and then everything was great again. I do hope that we continue to have a relationship with Mecha Games, just like we do with Zulus and Pandemonium and Heroes and Games and Gamer's Edge. They don't carry Overpower right now, but hopefully the Canadians can change that and start having some games up there, right? Andy says, what is with Overpower and tornadoes? I know there was a tornado went through Gen Con or really close to Gen Con. Yeah. Andy says, I love seeing Diego's lineup just brawling it out. Yep. John says, you got one too. Not sure what I got, John. Let's see. Chris says, the venue was definitely better than last year's, and the people were very friendly. Last year's was an okay venue. I didn't have any issues. They stayed open late for us. They were extremely busy. The people working Mecca was probably a little bit nicer. But I do hope that we go back there next year for the regional and Peace Bridge and do it again. If things stay the way they are and both of them continue to be on the same weekend. John says, yeah, we got a warning. Turned out the room we were in was already the safe room, so we kept going. Oh, that's hilarious. Doug says, if a tornado shows up, just harness the wind. Yeah. We'll get the Wicked Witch right on that. Chris says, the venue was great, but not near as friendly. Okay. I'm not going to argue with you about that, that's for sure, because the guys at Mecca were amazing. They were just so glad to have us. It was so funny because of the exchange rate on the currency. They were giving us stuff, guys. I'm not kidding you. They were giving it to us. Um, we were buying. I bought 2 candy bars for $3, and they were king size Reese's peanut butter cups. 2 of them for $3, and I went and bought a bottle of water. I pulled out my cash, and the guy just looked at me and said, "You're going to overpay so much for that water." And I just laughed. I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "It's 79 cents for that water." I think he thought maybe back in the States that was a 50-cent bottle of water or something. But I gave him $1 and told him I don't need the change back. The exchange rate is phenomenal. Howard told me at one time how much it was. It's like 40%. I think that's what he said. 40%. When you pay $20, a $20 Canadian is like $14 in US dollars. So we were having a heyday. We were buying anything and everything we wanted, and it was all so inexpensive. It was great. John, did you have your umbrella with you? And John says, yes, I did have one. Fortunately, we were not under one of the roof leaks. Yeah, I heard Gen Con had water leaking onto the tables. That's incredibly bad. Travis says, that's good. I saw video of the leak. It was bad. Chris says, I ended up buying too much Magic the Gathering singles for signatures. Now that you mention it, I wanted that Doctor Doom Magic card. That was Marvel Superheroes number 20 cover, and I forgot to get that one. Darn it. Chris says, I did feel like it was free. Andrew says, I sell water bottles for $2.95 and people buy them constantly. Yeah, I know. When he told me it was 79 cents, it's like, dude. They were great. Like I said, everything in the... I looked over and I saw that they were selling a pack of Pokemon cards for like $11.99 or $12.99. And I thought, wow, that's a little expensive. But I wasn't factoring in the U.S. discount. And you get that discount even if you pay with a debit card or credit card, because your card only gets charged the U.S. So it was a lot of fun. And I hope we continue to play there. All right, guys. We've been going at this for a little over an hour, and I'm a little tired. So I'm going to call it quits here. Next week, I am going to invite Stefan to join me, and we'll see what happens. If he doesn't come on, maybe I'll get Nor or Jessica to come on and just talk about the weekend a little bit more, and the pre-release is coming up. So thanks for tuning in, and you guys have a great week. I will talk to you all very soon. Good night.